What's going on, guys? I don't know about the rest of you guys, but I love Liv Morgan, man. She seems like she has a great personality. She's very entertaining, and I'm happy that she won the Women's Tag Team Championship with Raquel Rodriguez within a year of actually winning the SmackDown Women's Championship. So I support that. I love that. Now, before we get into this one, this is called the Meteoric Rise of Liv Morgan. Go ahead, hit that subscribe button and the bell next to it. Let's get into this.
Liv Morgan is your new Women's Tag Team Champion and one of the top stars in WWE today. 5 years ago though, she was just a member of a jobber faction. So what happened? Today we're going to be discussing the meteoric rise of Liv Morgan. Subscribe to the channel.
She deserves
until
it.
3 count. Hope you beat the count, and let's get into the video. Gianna Daddio was signed to the WWE in October of 2014, having been a long-time fan of professional wrestling. She signed a developmental deal and reported down to NXT and the Performance Center, and at first would make a couple appearances on TV only as a plant in the audience or just playing extra roles. And she was wrestling on the NXT house show scene, originally using her real name of Gianna Daddio, but on the November 4th, 2015 episode of NXT, she would debut on TV in ring under the ring name of Marley, losing to Eva Marie, and she was only working as a jobber. She would then continue again on the house show circuit under the name of Marley, but on her next appearance on NXT on the December 2nd episode, just less than a month later, she would take on her new ring name, another new ring name once again, of Liv Morgan. Once again though, losing to Emma. And this was more or less the story of Liv Morgan for a couple of years in NXT, you know, just losing. Liv Morgan for most of her time in NXT wasn't necessarily a jobber, but she was more or less just a lower card wrestler on NXT. She was in a good spot getting regular TV time and being on TV regularly, but she was never involved in title programs or wrestled on takeovers. So it was surprising when on the November 21st, 2017 episode of SmackDown Live, Liv Morgan would make her main roster debut alongside Ruby Riott and Sarah Logan.
Oh my god, man. Why they... I mean, they had to bring it up, but dude, they botched the Riot Squad so bad, man. So bad. I don't know what it is with WWE and women factions with 3 ladies in it. They don't seem to do a pretty good job most of the time. It don't seem to be the case.
Establishing themselves as the Riot Squad. The next week, Liv Morgan and the rest of the Riot Squad would make their main roster debut, actually defeating Charlotte Flair, Naomi, and Natalya, a big win to start things off for them. Then, next week, they beat Carmella, Natalya, and Tamina in a 6-person tag match, and then 2 weeks later, they beat Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair, and Naomi in a 6-person tag team match. The Riot Squad were on a roll, and it looked as though they were a threat to the SmackDown Live women's roster, but it went downhill literally right from here. The next week, Liv Morgan suffered her first loss on the main roster to Naomi in just 3 minutes, and then 5 days later, she was a part of the first ever Women's Royal Rumble. She lasted 5 minutes, scored 0 eliminations, and got eliminated by Michelle McCool. The Riot Squad would pick up things again as Charlotte Flair would engage in a feud with them and Ruby Riott specifically, as Charlotte Flair would defeat Liv Morgan, Sarah Logan, and then Ruby Riott for the title in consecutive matches. Damn. The Riot Squad would only get their occasional win when it was them teaming in a 6-person tag, but if it was any combination of them in a 2-on-2 tag match or a singles match, it was over for them. They were part of the WrestleMania 34 Women's Pre-Show Battle Royal, where, once again, they didn't really do anything in it. I think they teased, like, Sarah Logan firing up and looking like she could win, but then she just didn't. They were drafted to Raw in the Superstar Shakeup, and then from here, they were just cemented as jobbers, pretty much, for a long while. While they were on TV every week, they were usually losing, other than the occasional win. They were...
Does that sound familiar to you guys? 3 women in a group. I know I already said it. Losing every week. Come on, WWE, man. We gotta do better.
Feuds, but they would never really wrestle on pay-per-views, apart from Ruby, who would get the occasional pay-per-view match being the leader of the group. But Liv Morgan and Sarah Logan were more or less just jobbers and side pieces of the Riot Squad. They would actually get their first pay-per-view match in 2018 though, on the Super Showdown show in 2018, that show that happened in Australia. It was a 6-person tag. They lost to Ronda Rousey and the Bella Twins.
It went nowhere in the world they was winning that match.
That same month as they got to be a part of the Evolution pay-per-view, once again a 6-person tag, where they were losing, this time to Bayley, Natalya.
But look who they booking them against. Like, you think they were really going to win against Ronda Rousey and the Bellas and win against Bayley and Sasha? That... They put him in some really bad positions. Evolution was a pretty good pay-per-view, by the way.
Sasha Banks. This was a really good match though. And from here, once again, Liv Morgan and the Riot Squad just continued in their stride as jobbers. They were all in the Royal Rumble 2019, which Liv Morgan got eliminated from in about 2 seconds or something. What was it again? It was 8 seconds, not 2, so a little longer, but it's still the shortest time spent in the Women's Rumble match, a record that Liv Morgan holds. The Riot Squad would be split up in that year's Superstar Shake-Up when Liv Morgan was moved to SmackDown, whereas Ruby Riott and Sarah Logan remained on Raw. And this was a bit of a shock, however, it was also really exciting because Liv Morgan had improved a lot as a wrestler, and it was really exciting to see what she could possibly do as a singles wrestler now on the SmackDown brand. But she didn't really end up doing anything on SmackDown. She was drafted to SmackDown in April 2019, but she wouldn't wrestle until the 16th of July 2019. And in fact, I think that was like her first appearance on SmackDown was 3 months later. She turned babyface when she confronted the SmackDown Live Women's Champion Charlotte Flair. This was just a week after Kevin Owens had endorsed her in his work shoot promo, saying she should be on TV more. She would lose to Charlotte in a 2-minute match by submission, but it was an all-out 2-minute match, and Liv Morgan actually looked pretty good in that 2 minutes somehow, but then she would not appear for SmackDown or on the SmackDown brand again. A draft took place again that year on the October 14th episode of Raw, where Liv Morgan was the final overall pick of the year's draft, being drafted back to the Raw brand. And a couple months later, vignettes would begin to air, which would see the return of Liv Morgan. And these were the vignettes showing her in the bath and hyping up her return. And she would return on the December 30th episode of Raw during Bobby Lashley and Lana's wedding. Yes, we all remember this. This is when she professed her love for Lana. Liv Morgan would get mixed up in the Lana, Lashley, and Rusev storyline and begin feuding with Lana, or she was in love with Lana.
This had Attitude Era events written all over this. All over this, man. This was that whole wedding thing, the thing they had going on between Bobby and Lana. It was so cringy to me. It was so cringy to me. Now, I'm not trying to disrespect Attitude Era. Attitude Era is one of my favorite eras, but the goofy stuff they did, this is what it was.
But then they just scrapped the being in love thing. Yeah, it was a dreadful storyline that went absolutely nowhere, but Liv Morgan would come out on top on the feud, and she would stride on as a babyface single star on the Raw roster. She was part of the Elimination Chamber match that year, where Shayna Baszler just absolutely squashed everyone in the match, Liv included. And she was a part of the WrestleMania 36 pre-show where she defeated Natalya, getting a win at WrestleMania, so pretty big for her. And obviously this was now the pandemic era of WWE, where it was empty arena, and Raw and SmackDown and all the shows just had a completely different vibe, and a lot of people getting pushed more, and Liv Morgan was on TV quite often at this point. Her and Ruby Riott would actually reunite on the June 22nd episode of Raw, and the Riot Squad was now back, and they would be in pursuit of the women's tag team titles. She was drafted back to SmackDown in October 2020 along with Ruby Riott as the Riot Squad. They were a part of the Survivor Series Brand Warfare match, which they lost. And throughout the time that Ruby and Liv were teaming again, they had various shots and chances at the Women's Tag Team Championships. They wrestled on night 1 of WrestleMania 37 in the Women's Tag Team Gauntlet match, a match that they had a great showing in, eliminating 2 teams, and then they ended up losing to Natalya and Tamina. God, they should have won that match. Why did the Riot Squad not win that match? Ruby Riott was suddenly released from the company in the May 2021 budget cut releases.
And Ruby, she still is to this day. Ruby Soho still to this day. But, you know, she's extremely talented. She just is. I hate to say this. I know some people didn't see the appeal to her because they felt like she wasn't, like, I don't think this should matter as, like, attractive, I guess, or whatever. I've heard people say that. I've seen people say it online and things like that. But regardless of how you feel about anyone, as far as whether they're attractive or not, in the ring, Ruby was really, really talented, man. And they wasted her. They really did.
And was out of WWE, so Liv Morgan had to become a single star once again. But Liv Morgan, for the last couple of years teaming with Ruby Riott again, had shown so much improvement, and now a singles run felt completely right. A babyface Liv Morgan, everything was in place, and this should be good. She wrestled at the Money in the Bank 2021 pay-per-view in a match I was convinced she was gonna win, but unfortunately didn't, as Nikki ASH won. But Liv Morgan was really showing up as a singles wrestler. You could see the improvement in every match, and when she was drafted back to the Raw brand, she started to get a pretty good singles push. She was wrestling with the likes of Becky Lynch for the Raw Women's Championship. They had a very good match on the WWE Day 1 pay-per-view in 2022, and she was mixing it up with the likes of Bianca Belair, Doudrop, and many others on the roster, and she was one of the top dogs for the Raw Women's roster. She competed on Night 2 of WrestleMania 38, teaming up with Rhea Ripley in the Women's Tag Team title 4-way. The match won by Sasha and Naomi, where they held the titles for so long afterwards and had a really long reign. Following Rhea turning heel on Liv Morgan and joining the Judgment Day, Liv Morgan and Rhea would begin feuding, and Liv Morgan would also begin teaming up with AJ Styles and Finn Balor to take on the Judgment Day. They wrestled at the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view in a 3v3 mixed tag match won by the Judgment Day. Liv Morgan would be a part of the Money in the Bank ladder match at Money in the Bank 2022, which she would win.
Yeah.
And this was massive and completely deserved, something people wanted to see.
This was people were so excited about this, man. It was crazy. Like, you can hear the pop through the TV screen. Like, I know they pipe it up, but you can tell which ones are genuine pops from the crowd or ones that they kind of, pipe in some stuff.
I was excited to see her have a long time with the briefcase, tease the cash-ins, but I wasn't really too unhappy when she would cash in the same night to defeat Ronda Rousey for the SmackDown Women's title. A crazy moment that, to be honest, came out of nowhere. I was not expecting her to do it the same night, but it was a great moment. And I'll tell you what, a lot of people like to shit on Liv Morgan's title reign. I think she had a great showing as champion. She was on TV every week, she carried the belt like a star, and hey, she had a couple successful defenses. She defeated Ronda Rousey at SummerSlam in a bit.
We can't talk about that. We can't bring that one up. That's a little controversial, okay? We can't bring that one up.
Of a weird match, I will say, a weirdly booked match, but she defeated Shayna Baszler at Clash of the Castle in a pretty good match, I thought. However, she would lose the title to Ronda Rousey in an Extreme Rules match at Extreme Rules 2022.
That controversial match against Ronda Rousey is my personal opinion. I think Liv Morgan's SmackDown Women's title run was decent, but I think that match with Ronda Rousey put a big damper into that. It made people feel like that Liv Morgan didn't deserve to still have that title. It messed it up so bad, man. If that was just booked a different way, if that happened a different way, it would have been a lot better for Liv Morgan. By the way, I did do a video on how to perfectly book Liv Morgan as a SmackDown champion. I'm going to put the link in the description. You guys go check it out. It's from a while ago, so it might be some mistakes in there for sure.
Ending the reign prematurely at 98 days. But from here, Liv Morgan was absolutely cemented. She was now a main eventer in the women's division, and that can be seen by how she did in the Royal Rumble match in 2023. She started out at number 2 alongside Rhea Ripley, who was number 1, and them two ended up being the final 2 of the Royal Rumble. Liv Morgan obviously did not win, but what a great showing her and Rhea both had from 1 and 2. And that's more or less where we find ourselves today. Liv Morgan began teaming up with Raquel Rodriguez recently because the WWE Women's Tag Team division, every team is just a thrown together team, pretty much.
And that's why they need a mid. I know somebody in the comments said they don't need a mid-card title, but that is exactly why, because they keep throwing these random tag teams together because they don't have anything for these ladies to do. And why did this guy skip the short moment that she was tag teaming up with Tegan Knox? Maybe it doesn't matter. I get it.
3 edition of Monday Night Raw, Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez defeated Becky Lynch and Trish Stratus to win the women's tag team titles, with Liv Morgan pinning Trish Stratus. The first pinfall loss for Trish Stratus in 16 years. The first time she got pinned, and it was by Liv Morgan.
Wow. I'm happy for Liv, man. I'm happy for Liv. She deserves it, man. She just, like I said, she just has like a really great personality. She seems really positive. I watch her on Up, Up, Down, Down when she's on there with Xavier Woods, of course. And yeah, she worked her butt off. Even through the whole thing with Enzo. I'm surprised they didn't put the Enzo thing in here, but maybe they're not the type of person that want to put personal stuff into this unless it applies to where they go in the wrestler's individual career. But anyways, I love it, man. I love it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Go ahead, hit that subscribe button and the bell next to it. Go ahead and check out their channel and like and subscribe to their channel because they do a really good job when it comes to these videos. Stuff that I can't do. All right. Salute. Peace. Have a good day.